Glad to have you. Thanks for joining. And we were a little bit dancing around the Gen AI topic because we were not sure if you make it or not on time. I mean, look, there's no conference where you cannot these days talk really deeply about it. And but also, no doubt, it is at the top of the hype cycle. So you know the Gartner hype cycle, right? It's like at the peak. Typically, what comes after the peak is the valley of disillusionment.
Exactly.
And after that comes the plateau of productivity.
Yeah.
Help us. How can we go from hype to productivity around generative AI? Okay. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, and thanks for keeping the chair empty. So indeed, a very interesting day. I don't know if you've read the news. It was supposed to only go out at 2 p.m. today, but then, you know, as always, there's a leak, and then people start posting stuff in the morning. So what's the news of the day is we have a new, well, we knew it all the time, but we have a new AI champion here in Europe, which is called Aleph Alpha. It's a very, very exciting company that we had the privilege with, partnering with for 1.5 years already. So incorporating their technology into our products, and we'll talk a lot more about that in the coming days. But the news of the day is so today was announced they closed a round of funding where people like SAP, including us, we inject together with Bosch, with the Schwarz Group, with Hewlett Packard, $500 million, $500 million into Aleph Alpha to create a new and additional champion of the Gen AI space right here in Europe. So this is very exciting, and what was remarkable about the event today was that it was hosted by Robert Habeck, right? Our Vice Chancellor, Wirtschaftsminister, Minister for Economic Affairs here in Germany. So the spotlight couldn't be higher. So hype is there.
Hype is definitely there.
Hype is there, and it was interesting, what people say and what they expect Gen AI to deliver. I think everybody is equally excited on the one hand on what it can do, and there were some great examples. So for example, there was another guy from public sector, and he talked about speeding up things like approving a new wind turbine to be set up, which right now requires a truckload of paper in terms of documentation and application and so on and so forth. And it takes months and years for this process to go through. That's why it's so hard to make this stuff happen. So now with the help of Gen AI, suddenly you can speed up these things dramatically. You can cut, in their case, 95, 97, 98% of the work out of that process of checking, approving a new wind turbine. So the potential is real, and the excitement is real. But Robert Habeck also said something very interesting, because somebody asked him, so what do you expect the economic potential of this to be? So talk numbers, right? Millions, billions, trillions. What will this be in terms of impact, or how companies work today? And he said something very interesting and wise, and said, well, it wouldn't be a disruptive force if we could quantify it exactly already today, right? So who am I to quantify it? This thing is so new, and we don't know yet exactly what it all delivers. So now coming to that statement, what we want to make sure is that it doesn't end up with zero, right? Because then we don't reach the value of disappointment or disillusionment ever, right? If it turns out to be zero. But having said that, it's still early, right? So what is important is that players like us make it truly easily applicable for the real use cases out there, right? So if it stays to be a technology that is kind of looked at and people love it and they try it out and have a small pilot here, then it doesn't go beyond that. This is where technology is done. Yeah. But I think what we can help with, as SAP in general, having some of the largest body of data and knowledge and domain expertise, in our case, SAP Signavio in particular for processing, if you bundle that up, you create something very replicable, something that can be applied to a large number of customers in a very smooth and easy way. And this will make the difference. So I would say the success of Aleph Alpha heavily also depends on partners like us. to make it work and to make it really easily applicable, so that people don't need to build, you know, if every company needs to build a 50-people team for Gen AI, well, it will stay stuck in lab-type settings. But if people like us, companies like us, really make it applicable in an easy way, it will take off like crazy, and I'm very optimistic.
So Gil, you're always a great visionary to see where our industry is going, and obviously this is a very disruptive element that we all face right now, and you said this well, it's hard to quantify, not even our State Minister of Economic Affairs can quantify it. If he cannot, probably we cannot. But do you see some use cases when you zoom into SAP Signavio, but also very soon then LeanIX, where the capabilities are more providing an imminent value? If there is a project, if a partner is working today on a project, and customers are looking to make sense of this innovation that we now as SAP are looking to provide together with capabilities like from Aleph Alpha, where do you think this will start to actually deliver value? Are there certain domains, certain use cases? What do you see kind of being a little bit more coming out of the fog?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm very concentrated on the things that we do here at SAP Signavio. We're interested in one question and one question only, and this is how can our customers run better, and what do they need to do to change, to become better, to reinvent themselves, improve the way they work. And the interesting thing that Gen AI can deliver in that context is it can give you ideas, insights, point to things, help you bridge to realization in such a radical way that daring it and doing it, and with it I mean change, becomes so much easier, right? So this is where we play. So what the outcome might be is that companies, what the outcome that will be is that companies work differently. If you look at SAP more broadly, then at SAP, obviously, we look at all of the different tasks that are being performed in an enterprise today, right? Be it, recruiting people, be it, running a warehouse, be it, whatever, doing your finances. And there are so many small tasks where people spend a lot of time, and where we as SAP have a lot of knowledge of how that can be done. So this is where we basically go through one by one and work on injecting AI into these things. So you will see embedded into all of the various SAP products thousands and tens of thousands of points where Gen AI will make a massive difference to how you work. But then there's the question more broadly, right? If you look at any given company and how their workforce is currently made up, what people actually do, it's a very intriguing thought exercise to think about, be it SAP or whoever who helps you achieve that. What can AI do for you? But here's again the thing: it's a very interesting thought exercise, but only those places where it's players like us who actually make it tangible, applicable, easily consumable. This is where you're going to see the things really happening in the next 1 or 2 or 3 years. So there might be untapped areas that have huge potential, but there's simply no players addressing it. So let's see. But we're highly committed and excited, and are at the very forefront of what's happening in the Gen AI space.
Perfect. Great. Anyone else on Gen AI?